Of the Orc tribes, there isn't one more distrusted than the Dark tribe, Sauron's most loyal of the Orcs.
Take him to Mordor. Goodbye. Say goodbye to the knife that you sharpen with your life. Say goodbye to the dark side.
Greetings, fellow Gravewalkers, and welcome back to another video. This one, talking about the most spooky and dark of the tribes, the Dark tribe. So, let's get into it. The Dark tribe was one of 7 tribes at Shadow of War's launch, and I have mistakenly called it 8 in the past for some reason, and one of the coolest in my opinion. Among the tribes, they are the least trusted. Many believe any alliance with the Dark tribe is bound to end in betrayal, either from the Dark tribe themselves or from the paranoia they create. We're going to start again with what I believe their origins could be, and I think this one is pretty easy to ponder about. There's 4 possibilities. The Dark tribe came from the Black Hand, the Hammer, or the Nazgul, or simply remained loyal to Sauron, and I lean toward the last 2. The information given about the Black Hand is very little. Not much can be said except that he's a fiend, made of thin air. So we know the Black Hand, unlike the other Black Captains, isn't really real. We see this plainly when he merges with Celebrimbor. It's like he's an extension of Sauron himself, which I think he might be. It's also why I find it unlikely he created the Dark tribe, since Sauron didn't return until a bit before The Hobbit, long after this Orc civil war would have taken place, since I doubt he would have had the power to manifest a separate entity, or even be able to spare that much energy while reforming. The Nazgul are somewhat compelling, but it's mentioned they were never seen until Sauron returned as the Necromancer, making me find this unlikely as well. The Hammer is a neat possibility. He's one of the few lieutenants active so soon after the last alliance, being corrupted not long after the battle itself by picking up Sauron's mace. Their styles are even similar, plus the Mystic tribe. The last option is the one that requires the least thought, that these orcs simply remain loyal to their master, and honestly, I don't doubt it. These orcs might even have roots prior to the Civil War, maybe being some of Sauron's personal army. This could also explain their penchant for dark magic, being so close to Sauron himself. No matter how this tribe was formed, it's plain where their loyalties lie. They fought to hold Mordor for Sauron while he was unable, and they seem to have been rewarded for it, being so feared by the other tribes. These shadowy orcs wear ornate metal and studded leathers, often carrying cursed weapons. They also have a love for a spooky mask and mysterious hoods, which is certainly memorable. Most of their general armor was carried over from Shadow of Mordor, of course, getting some of the most recognizable sets. As far as signatures go, the Dark tribe has one specific signature, just like every other tribe: their tribe weapon. In their case, the Dark Daggers, in which they'll lunge forward and make 3 slashing attacks that are pretty easy to counter. It's one of the button mash ones. This part's not scripted, by the way, because I almost forgot to include it. Dark Daggers. They're very cool. What's also recognizable is their fortress, which I explained at length in how each tribe affects a region. So I'm just going to reread that paragraph, which is honestly something I should have done for the Slaughter and Machine tribes, but like always, I forgot! The Dark tribe's designs most resemble those of the Dark Lord's himself. The main spire of the Dark Fortress looks quite a bit like Ben-Adur, and it's evident that the Dark tribe is the most loyal to Sauron, and we'll get to more on that momentarily. Giant glaives hold banners, much like the Machines had their cranes. The gates feature a shield-like crest that's simple but interesting. The monument of this tribe brings us back to Sauron, as it's quite literally a statue of him. And there's not much to say about it more than that, though. Around the region, we find chemistry stations that, when shot, cause natural balefire. This is the only way of getting balefire besides poisoning an orc, then lighting them ablaze. The region's skies are overcast and hazy. A thick fog covers much of the region, likely due to the dark magic these orcs are using. So how do the other tribes feel about these dark boys? Well, they aren't getting invited to Guys Night first, that's for sure. I also summed this up pretty well in each tribe's culture, which I haven't really pulled anything from, so I'm gonna yoink that as well. The Dark tribe is feared by the other tribes because of how close they are to Sauron himself, and also because of their foul dark magic. Orcs, funnily enough, aren't huge fans of magic, whether bright or dark. They find the Dark tribe's ease of use of these forces rather off-putting, thinking it better to just not associate with them. But of course, if there's an orc of annoyance on the loose, and no one seems to be able to do anything, the Dark Tribe are called in to deal with them. Captains, war chiefs, and overlords have all fallen victim to a Dark Tribe assassin's dagger, and many more surely will as well. I also imagine the Dark Tribe doesn't really like the Outlaw Tribe, because of how aloof and free-willed they are. The Dark Tribe is a Sauron simp meeting, so of course orcs who think they should get rid of Sauron, the Nazgul, and any other who would rule over them would get on their nerves. I can already see them throwing hands and shade over arguments about Sauron. I do want to get a bit more specific though. So the Dark Tribe obviously aren't friends of the Outlaw Tribe for reasons stated prior, but I think they get along pretty well with Mystic. The two both use wicked incantations and magic, so I wouldn't put it past them sharing spells like casserole recipes. Machine probably gets commissions for magic weapons and junk. Feral probably doesn't care, and I'd imagine Terror being interested in any curse that causes harm for obvious reasons. Slaughter seems too dumb to understand them, and Warmonger and Marauder would probably find them cowardly due to their magic use. For dark titles, we're scraping the barrel a little. What immediately comes to mind is the Blackblade, but I'm skeptical of their exclusivity. Every Blackblade I have found has been Dark Tribe, but it seems some online have found Machine and Marauder Blackblades. Whether there's some trickery there or what, I'm not going to definitively say they spawn only as Dark Tribe. Same goes for Stormbringer, since they can be any tribe. It's just the Dark Tribe ones that are the most iconic. In the same vein, Fear Eater seems to only be Dark Tribe, with the exception being a single Mystic one I saw. What I can say is the Blackheart does spawn as Dark only. Not a single one I've ever found or seen online has been anything other than Dark. So I'm pretty confident in that idea. Overall, the Dark Tribe exists to further Sauron's will. They're his strongest hand in the orcs, and will exert his will over the others of their kind. And with that brings us to the end of this Dark Tribe-centric video. So if you have enjoyed, consider hitting the like button down below because it tells me that you like the video. And if you like what I do and you want more of it, consider subscribing for more. And if you'd like to know whenever I upload, you can ring the little bell to get notified whenever I do so. With that, I will see you all next time.